funds are. So this is how I like to explain it. So let's imagine, I'm actually doing pretty good today, with at least one straight line. Let's say imagine that you're on an elevator and this is you. And let's say that elevator only has one cable on it. Now, if that cable breaks, what's going to happen to you?
You're gonna fall.
You're going to fall and you're probably going to be out of here, right? But let's say you're on an elevator and this elevator has a lot of cables on it. Let's just say it has maybe 20 cables on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Let's say it has 20 cables on it. And these 20 cables are taking you up and down. Now, if one of these cables breaks, do you think you'd still be okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because the other cable can still take you up and down, maybe while this cable is being prepared. But what if 2 or 3 cables broke?
Still be.
Do you still think you'd be okay? Still be okay, right? Because you still got all these cables to hold you down. Even if maybe 10 of those cables broke, you still have enough other cables that are working good to be able to take you up and down. So this elevator on the right, would you say that's a less risky elevator to ride in than the one on the left?
Yes, sir.
Why? Because you have more cables taking you up and down. Well, on the left-hand side, this is an example of maybe investing in what we call an individual stock. And this is what a lot of people have gotten into, especially over the pandemic, is finding individual stocks to invest in. And this is more like what we would call trading, which is a form of investing, but trading is more of a skill for you to make money. And it takes some practice. You have to develop that skill to be able to understand how to time the market. But really, when it comes to investing, it's not about timing the market, it's about the time that you're in the market. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. So this is an example of investing with an individual stock. This would be an example of investing in what we would call mutual funds. Maybe I'll type this over here. That'll be better. How about I type? So this would be a mutual fund over here. A mutual fund, right? And so this is a less risky way to invest in mutual funds because now you have your money diversified over many different companies, many different areas, right? And so it's like our grandmothers used to say, or our aunties or our parents would say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And so putting all your eggs in one basket is like what we're doing over here on the left side in the individual stock. Well, when you're putting it into a mutual fund, it's like putting all your eggs in multiple baskets, and even the baskets that you put those eggs in are in multiple baskets. So you're very much diversified with that. So what happens when you put money into a mutual fund? What happens with that is you're basically putting your money, let's say this is a pool of money, and you're putting your money in a pool of money with other investors. You guys are all putting that money in there, all right? And that pool of money, that money is being invested amongst many different companies. The average mutual fund has about 150 different companies in there. All right, so we'll just put 150. That's the average mutual fund. So that means, so that would be like these cables up here. You have 150 cables taking you up and down on the elevator. So you got 150 companies in there. So you got all your money pooled into this investment, into this pool of money. And then you have someone that's called a professional money manager that manages the pool. And their job is to use those funds to maybe bring companies in, bring companies out, or exchange, trade within that pool, trade between those companies, and they're paid to make sure that pool of money grows over time. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
That's how that does. And so that's a mutual fund with that. So that's a basic understanding of mutual funds. It's just a way for you to invest and you begin to mitigate risk. Because you're paying someone, the experts, the professional money manager to do that. And here's the beautiful thing. Those 150 companies that's in there, you'll still be investing in companies like Apple and Google and Facebook. So you still have an opportunity to have shares within those companies, but now you're not taking upon all the risk by banking on whether those companies would go up and down. All right. So that's that's mutual fund investing. So I'm gonna teach you one other strategy when it comes to investing. That's called dollar cost averaging. Okay, have you ever heard of that before?
No, sir.
All right, so this is dollar cost averaging. So let me clear this out and let me pull up this screen here. So dollar cost averaging is this. Well, let me just say this. Let me put this plug in there. When you're developing a complete and savings and investment program, there's really three fundamental accounts that you need to have. You need to have an emergency account, and your emergency account can be at a local bank, right? This is money that you're probably going to touch within, anytime from right now to maybe 2 years. This is money that you would need very quickly for emergencies, major emergencies. Maybe something breaks down, or maybe you have to get an airplane ticket last minute, and you need to have your emergency account. And we always recommend that you have anywhere from 3 to 6 months of income in there for your emergency account. Now that's more saving. Now your short-term account, this is for, and we recommend in your short-term account that you have anywhere from 6 to 9 months of income in there. But this is money that you may not touch for maybe 3-5 years or more. But this is for bigger emergencies. Maybe you lost your job, or maybe we hit a pandemic and your money's funny, or you got laid off, or maybe you're saving for a down payment for a house with that. So, when you start thinking about that, when you start thinking about investing is more because you're trying to accomplish goals as well. Savings are for emergency, investing are for goals. Down payment for a house, retirement, maybe you're, saving up for some big major purpose. Maybe you want to buy, down the road, a big boat or something. That's your short-term account. And then you have your wealth building account this is for stuff like for retirement. And there's many different retirement accounts that you can do. You can do a Roth IRA, you can do a traditional IRA. And what IRA stands for is individual retirement account. And just whether it's a Roth IRA or whether it's a traditional IRA, really those are just tax codes. That just tells the IRS how to handle that account when it comes to taxes. And really you should have probably a combination of, both type of IRAs, when it comes to your retirement, because both of them have different types of, I would say, limits of how much you can invest when we start talking about 401ks and SEP IRAs and things like that. So back to dollar cost averaging. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you're going to start investing, would you want to invest in a rising market or a fluctuating market?
Rising.
A rising market, all right? Most people kind of answer that. Let me give it to you in a different way. Mr. Ewing, what's like something that you like to buy? You like to?
Or? Games.
Games? Okay.
GameStop.
You like GameStop, right? So would you rather go buy a game like when it first comes out, you pay full price for it, or would you rather get it on sale where it's on discount?
Sale.
On sale, right? So investing in a rising market is like buying things at full retail, while investing in the fluctuating market is like buying things on discount. Let me explain. So I want to take an example. Let's say you're investor A right here, and I gave you $100 a month to invest, all right? And so the first month you invest, let's say each share is $10. So if you had $100 to invest, that first month you buy, it's $10 per share. So that month you would have bought 10 shares. This is an example of what we're talking about in the rising market. Let's say the second month, the market's doing very well. So cost per shares go up to $12. Now your $100 only bought 8.3 shares that month. The third month, it goes up to $14 and you only bought 7 shares that month. All it keeps on going up to $20 per share. So that sixth month, it's at $20 per share. And you're excited because you think the market's going great. You're not going to lose anything. And on that sixth month, your $100 only bought 5 shares because it's $20 a month. I mean, $20 per share. So at the end of that 6-month time frame, you've got 42 shares. Now, if you've invested $100, I gave you the answer, $100 a month for 6 months, that means you put in how much money?
You put in
$100 a month for 6 months. That's a little time still. That's $600, right? Okay, so let's say now you want to cash out your shares. You're ready to, it's time for you to pull out your money. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the amount of shares you have times the current cost per share. So $42 times 42 shares times $20 is going to be $840. Now, if you invested 600, because that's what you put in, $100 a month, you would have made $240. Not bad, right? You made $240. You didn't lose anything. So let's talk about invested in a fluctuating market. We're going to go into investor B. Investor B has the same $100 a month to invest, and the cost per share the first month is $10, just like investor A. So that first month he buys 10 shares. But let's say bad news comes out and the stock market starts to go down. A lot of people get scared and start to pull their money out, but you say, you know what? I'm just going to keep on investing. So now your $100, when it goes down to $7 per share, you buy 14 shares that month. Let's say it continues to be bad and the stock market continues to go down. It goes down to $4 per share, but now your $100 buys $25 shares. And let's say the stock market crashes and it goes all the way down to $2 per share. Well, that month you would have bought 50 shares. But then good news comes back and the market begins to recover. Now it's $6 per share. So you bought 16 shares that month, and then it goes back to the original amount at $10 per share. And so your $100 bought 10 shares that month. And so at the end of 6 months, investor B would have 126 shares. So when he decides to pull out and cash out, he has 126 shares times 10. That's $1,260. And if he had invested 600, that means he would have made $660 as opposed, right? Made a lot more money because he decided to be diligent, right? It's like the Bible says, the diligent hand shall be made fat, or it also says the diligent hand shall bear rule. So when it comes to investing, it's really your diligence over time that really helps you be successful. So with that, and just being consistent and diligent. And so regardless of what's happening in the market, you just keep putting that money in there. So sometimes when the market's up, you may be buying less shares, but when it's down, everything's on discount. You can buy more games, right? Buy more shares, and you just put as much money as you can, because when the market recovers, that means you make more money. It just really goes into the concept, and that we call in the investment world, you buy low and you sell high. So when you employ dollar cost averaging as an investing strategy, then it gives you the opportunity to pay a lower average cost per share. If you see in these two examples, so investor B, he had a better opportunity to employ that concept of buy low and sell high, because dollar cost averaging helps you to pay a lower average cost per share. So investor A, he paid an average cost of $14 per share. Investor B paid an average cost of $4.76 per share. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's dollar cost averaging. So when the market's down, the goal is kind of to turn off the news and just turn on your investing game mindset on, and just continue to throw money in there, because the market's going to recover. The market's going to recover. Okay. So real quickly, I want to talk to you about maybe some of the different IRAs that you can do just as a minor. And one of the things that we talked about is a minor Roth IRA. Now, a Roth IRA is a really good tool because according to the IRS, when you have a Roth IRA, that money is going to grow tax deferred. And when you get to retirement, you can draw that money out tax free. Now, I think all of us would like to pay less taxes, correct?
Yes, sir.
So when you do a Roth IRA, this is money that you don't plan to touch on for a long, long time. Maybe until you get to 59 and a half, to avoid any type of penalties with that. So that's a Roth IRA. So that Roth IRA, it's a tax shelter. And basically what that means is, let me just illustrate that. So if you were to look at that, the Roth IRA, that's your shelter, right? That's the Roth. And so that's a Roth IRA. That's the tax shelter. This tells the IRS how they're going to treat that. And then you will put your mutual fund in a Roth IRA. Remember we talked about that pool of money? So you put your money, your mutual fund, in a tax shelter that's called a Roth IRA. That talks about that. And then the IRS knows how they're going to tax that money. And so you put money in there. The cap on a Roth IRA, at your age, you can put up to $6,000 a year in a Roth IRA. Okay. So you can start doing that $6,000 a year. You can start putting in a Roth IRA. That's simply $500 a month. Now with my company, you can start investing in a Roth IRA for as little as $25 a month, or you can start off with a one-time investment of $250, and you can just put money in as you feel like it, as long as you don't go over the $6,000 per year. So that's something that you can start outside of that, which I think is a great tool that you can use, a Roth IRA with that. So any questions on that? That's kind of just a real quick snippet on investing. Roth IRA, I know that was something that you were excited about, Mr. Ewing. So any questions?
How would they get in touch with you?
How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, let me pull this up. Let me get my, all right, let me pull that slide up. Kind of had to do some impromptu. Oops, sorry about that. Oops. Where did my thing go? I accidentally closed it out. 1 second. All right, let me just give you my number real quick. I'm having a hard time finding this PowerPoint. All right, I'll just type it on there real quick, just for time's sake.
If you can include your, I guess your email.
I'll just type it all in there real quick.
Awesome. In the chat.
My flash drive quit working. Well, so I couldn't pull up the, I tried to save it to my Dropbox and I can't find it. So let me I'll just type it in on the white screen real quick. All right, so this is me. I'm gonna just type that in there. All right, and my number is 214-727-6842. And you can email me at Powell@outlook.com. There you go. And, you know, I'm free pretty much every day. I should have availability pretty much every day at different times. But I'd love to sit down with you. There's no cost for my clients to sit down with me and to help develop a game plan, investment game plan for them. Really, all I ask my clients to do, if they like what I do, if I do a great job for them, is if they would give me more referrals, more people to talk to. And we can put some very comprehensive financial game plans, other things that I do. I help people with life insurance, or what we call income protection, all different types of investments. I also do legal protection, so you can get a will, as well as, you know, auto and home solutions to help you save money so you can invest more. We do home security, and I actually even do mortgages as well.
Do it all.
Mortgage and refinance. So essentially, I help my clients can build a complete and solid financial house. So any financial challenges that people have, any financial issues that people have, they can come to one place and get a total solution. Because a lot of times what we tend to do, we tend to deal with different companies to deal with different aspects of our finances. And those companies really are dedicated to their one agenda. So it makes it very difficult for you to understand how those different financial aspects interact with one another. I help my clients put it all together. So with that,